Hello and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be taking a stock analysis on SAP. Now, if you don't know what SAP make, they make a centralized data system and cloud services for companies. So if companies need to make track of their sales, their employees, their orders, anything in that branch, it is SAP, and they're the biggest in Europe and some of the biggest in the world. They have 105,000 employees worldwide and set the standards many years ago. Now, the reason I'm making stock analysis on this is because just take a look over the recent time, it has completely exploded. And now recently we've had this dip, which I see is a golden buying opportunity. Now, the reason I do this is because they've recently just came out with their new SAP 4 system, which is quite nice, and also because they are quite large in the software sector, a sector I believe is going to explode soon, because we recently had AI and quantum computing. I personally think software is the next one, because we need software companies to implement the AI. People think that AI companies can implement them, but that's quite wrong, to be honest. You need software companies to code the AI into the software so it works flawlessly. And SAP is doing that quite nicely, and they are rolling out with new models soon. Also, just take a look at their revenue per stock. It is increasing, and they are making a lot of money at the moment. So I like it quite a lot. Now, if we take a look at the broader part of the broader graph here, let me just make the graph a bit bigger. You can see it did lie flat for quite some time. We were up, but then over the time, otherwise, it has been quite flat and slowly rising all the way back from 22, slowly rising. And I quite like this, even though it's a German company, and German companies had it very rough and still do, to be honest. So it's quite interesting that this made such huge gains. Sometimes they miss their earnings by quite a lot, as you can see here, 11 and 17%, and sometimes they beat them by a small margin, and that's fine. Overall, it is a quite huge company. As you can see, market cap is 283 billion euros. Now, recently, as you can see here, let me just show you on my graphs here, we did have this death cross. Now, currently this death cross, and we did see quite a large gap all of a sudden in the moving averages. But I won't take a notice of that right away, because I do think we are going to rebound, and one of the reasons I think that is because if we take a look at where it traded, we can see it traded back to a previous, let me just move this up, a previous support line, as you can see here. So it tanked and then it went back up, and that is mostly because people know that it should be valued quite a lot more, because I think, as myself, a lot of people think this is going to increase quite a lot. Now, personally, I see ACP going all the way up to 350, maybe $400 within the next 2 years. So I should see almost a 150 to 200% increase. Now, I like it quite a lot because it is a market leader, and market leaders in cases like this, where I personally think we are going to need a lot of capital to invest in AI and software, I think companies like this have a golden opportunity. Now, the dividends for this company is quite poor. As you can see, it's below 1%, so I won't really get into that. Now, the earnings are quite nice most of the time. We did miss one in Q1 in 2024, but that's whatever. If we take a look at the broader one, as you can see, they make a ton of money, and they have for quite some time, and over the past 3 years, they have increased their earnings. Now, it did fall down a bit in 22, but nobody made any money in 22. Now, if we take a look at the graphs here over the past few years, we can see, let me just make it a bit bigger. Some years we have quite poor performance, as you can see here, but most of the time we have very nice performance. Now, in 23 and 24, it was insanely nice, and I personally believe it's going to increase that and to keep on doing that in 25. As you can see, in 25 we were up at 17.4% at some point. Now we are only up 3.4%, but then again, we're only in the middle of March. So I think it's going to increase quite a lot more this year. Now, at the technicals, as you can see, for the day, it's a sell, and that is because we recently had the large drop, of course. For the week, it's a buy, but for the month, it is a strong buy in the moving averages, but it's still a buy in the summary. Now, the oscillators are quite negative at the moment, but that's, in my opinion, it's quite alright, simply because, well, they're more neutral than sell, and the moving averages is a strong buy, and I rely quite heavily on technical analysis personally. Now, the analysis on this are quite nice as well, as you can see. 20 strong buy, 4 buy, 6 hold, 2 sell, and 1 strong sell, which means the average is at 281, which is still up quite a bit, and the max is 320. I see 320 as quite a mediocre analyst, to be honest, because I personally think it's going to increase even more. I think it's going to go up to, well, this year I think it's going to go maybe 320, 330, but I think it might go all the way up to 400. As I did say earlier, within the next 2 years, it's definitely going to go 400. 320 this year might actually be all right, but I still think it is a bit on the low side. I would not be surprised if it hit 350. Now I don't personally own any stock in SAP, but I am quite hard considering buying in, and I am gonna do that soon, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna do that. That is simply, let me just close this, because it has taken a bit of a drop, and that means that a lot of volatility has been taken out. Often we see when we just increase and increase and increase, as you can see here, the stock gets a bit more volatile, and as you can see here, we do have some drops down, but then it stabilizes, and you can see it does that relatively often compared to other stocks. And I like that quite a lot in this stock. So sometimes you are going to see big drops in this, but over the longer term, if you keep your stocks for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, it doesn't really matter. So if I'm just watching to see if on the end of March, if it's still stabilizing or even falling some more, I wouldn't be surprised if it fell to about this, and that is because, no, a bit lower actually, to right around 200 here, because as you can see, we have this support line here. I would not be surprised if this, let me grab this, god damn it, like so. If we fell down to here, but I personally think if we do fall down to here, I think it is gonna increase again. So it's either gonna look like this. Let me just make this green. Hold on a second. Green. I think it might look like this, but it might also, let me take another one, a bit more like so. Increase, of course, not that sharp, but you get the picture. I think it is gonna do this. Of course, we do have dividends soon, so it is going to fall a bit because I don't know if you know this, but stocks always fall the amount of dividends is paid out when the stock pays out. So yeah, it's going to fall $2.35 in the euros that day. But if you own the stock, of course, that doesn't matter. Huge fan of SAP at the moment. So yeah, I am buying in. Now, if you did like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe.